Minasan, Toqir Space, yokoso. Thanks for tuning in, coming back to Toqir Space. I'm still learning Japanese. It's still an interesting journey, and I'm really grateful for my tandem partners when I have got the opportunity to learn with them, at least try to speak Japanese. And that's actually kind of like helping me. And in the process, let's say it's been a month, it's going quite well. And the main goal is as well to be at least kind of like fluent as you can communicate you through yourself in Japan when you're always traveling to there. Um, but that's another story. So, thanks for coming back. And today's topic, I want to actually plan my next Japan trip. As you already mentioned, the borders are open and I really want to go there. So, I decided to go there around in February, March around. So I will just go through every kind of aspect why I'm doing this kind of, let's say, I'm going through the process, what I'm thinking when I do the planning, what are the points that I find for myself really important that I have to do. And this trip will be just focused on, let's say, 2 or 3 towns that you know, for example, of course, Tokyo and Kyoto, and I really want to go to Nara as well. Maybe there are a lot of other small towns or villages where I will also as well plan in this trip, but for now that's it. So here we go. As you remember, I already talked about the costs going to Japan, so I'm gonna just put out as well the Excel sheet to get yourself an overview. How much it will cost for, let's say, one person. So the very first thing, and I'm probably think the most expensive part of the trip is the flight, of course. As I can just say, of the viewpoint of a European in Germany, the prices are increased of the inflation and of the war, of course. As you can see here, the normal price would be a little bit less, let's say around 600, 700 would be perfect. But currently, you just get kind of like at least 800, and there are also overlays like just for 3 hours and 2 hours, and I think that's a little bit too short and too risky. Of course, if you want to save up, let's say 150 euros, or that might be of course, a thing you can take. But I will prefer for myself to have an easy flight to get a direct flight for 1,000. That's actually quite a lot. The last time, that was actually around for now actually 6 years ago I spent around 600 700 euros, so that went up a lot. But the best thing is, of course, you can fly with an Japanese airline where you can get Japanese food and as well the Japanese, let's say, the experience. um, so I'm just gonna put 1000 euros for that flight, and as well for an PCR COVID test that I have to do when I'm traveling to Japan. So I'm just gonna roughly calculate, let's say 1100 euros. So the next point I actually look up is um, how many days I want to spend where. For example, in this trip, I'm gonna spend like 2 weeks. That's, let's say, from what I written down, from 3rd to uh, 15 or something in total. Um, but in the beginning, I just look up. Gonna go low budget this time, as everything is already expensive. I'm gonna go looking for low budget rooms, and I think for 130, it's quite cheap for 3 nights. That's For 130 euros, it's 43 euros for a night. It's quite good. You can also go a little bit less, let's say, if you are sleeping in this kind of like rooms. But 112 euros, the prices for a room are actually quite cheap in Japan, I have to say, at least in Tokyo. So I think that wouldn't be a huge issue. Or look at here at the capsule um, hotel, just 66 euros for 3 nights. This is really, really good, I have to say. That's just roughly around, let's see, just 22 euros for a night. That's really, really good. So yeah, as I'm traveling alone, I have to take this opportunity to be there, and most of the times the hostels or hotels are quite central, and there's a lot of metro, so whenever you go, you can easily get back to the city. So I think the part of the hotel is quite cheap compared to the price of the flight, and I think you can kind of like compensate with the prices then. So after you figured out how many days you want to go to Tokyo, so I will probably plan around 3 days in Tokyo. Gonna take the night bus actually. Where is it? I opened it up already. Ah, here we go. The night bus will take you around almost 8 hours. It's a lot cheaper of the price. It's like let's say it will cost $60. And Shinkansen train ticket costs around, the last time I looked up, I think 110, 120 euros just one way. So you will kind of like save 120 euros if you go to Tokyo and back with the bus. And I think for the plan that I'm going through to be as, let's say, um, thoughtful with the expenses, I think that's a good option. And then you can also um, can also see Japan in kind of like a different viewpoint when you're driving to the bus. So the next point I always look up is kind of like the things around Tokyo where you can go. Of course, Yokohama is close by, or you can go to all the nearby things. And the thing is, I just have in mind I want to go to Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, Nara. I want to explore this kind of place, but most of the time, of course, there are a lot of informations on the internet where you can look up what you actually want to do. Are you more like a guy who needs tours? I'm kind of like more interested to be free with my own plan and just explore. And of course, you can look up something like this. I got some ideas where you could go sightseeing. That's of course always a good thing, but I will kind of like focus on, let's say, sightseeing in Tokyo. Maybe you can go to Nikko here. That's also kind of like an interesting shrine there where you can visit. Of course, you have a lot of possibilities when you're around Tokyo, but of course, when you're driving here, I would actually highly recommend going to Kyoto, Nara, and of course Osaka is nearby. So, after you figure out wherever you want to go and how many nights where you want to spend, I will actually say take it slow. Whenever you go, just plan a whole day at least. When you go to Nara, play a day at least. When you go to Kyoto, play at least at least I would say 3 days in Kyoto at least, so you can explore um, where you get a lot of time and don't feel pressure to explore everything, because Kyoto has to offer so many things and you can spend so many times there just looking so many shrines around the whole city, and it's kind of like a really really nice place to be around, and especially when you're going early this year, you will avoid the big let's say tourist crowds where the last time I've been there it was really really I wouldn't say it's annoying, but it's something you are not happy about when you go to kind of like a calm place where you just want to enjoy, and suddenly there are around 100 Chinese tourist groups on the right, 100 Korean group, and and so on. It kind of like destroys the atmosphere, but just the thing that I felt when I've been there around the last 6 years. When I've been there, yeah. So, oh, that's actually quite nice. They kind of like have this 3D render overview when you go over that, so you can actually see how it looks like. And this is really awesome. That I'm seeing actually the first time, and you can kind of like get a feeling how everything is there. So, when you spend your time in Kyoto, of course, visit the things around Kyoto. Um, of course, visit all the important temples. You can just Google it up. The best sightseeing in Kyoto, of course. And Kyoto has to offer a lot of things where you can go and do things. So just figure out what you're really interested, what your focus is more about in this trip, and you will find some really nice places. And of course, on a day trip, I would highly recommend Nara and of course Osaka, trying out new food, and of course exploring the big city. So after that, I'm not sure how many days I will probably spend in Tokyo. Let's say I will spend here at least 5 days, and the other 5 days I will actually spend around here. So I will have kind of like 3, 4 days left if I plan in total to be there for 2 weeks. So I will just drive back to Tokyo and explore the rest. Let's say you can go to the coast, or you can go up to the mountain. You can actually plan an hiking trip. I was really interested. I'm not sure if it's able to go to the Mount Fuji that on that season. Ah, yeah, I see. Yeah, for climbing Mount Fuji, you have to go around the summertime. Of course, it's winter, and it's too dangerous to go early in the year. So that's a thing I want to really do. That's a thing I really want to explore and get the experience how it is to be on Mount Fuji. But this is another thing that will maybe be able to do it this year. But let's. So the essentials when you go to Japan is of course you need a Suica card. I highly recommend it because you can easily charge it up and spend it almost everywhere when you go, even if it's on a conveni on a small supermarket, or you're using the train. I think you can also use it on buses. Um, it's an easy payment system with the card, and you will avoid all the, let's say, pay everything with cash, so it's easily with the card. And of course, don't forget it when you go to Japan. Get a SIM card. You need internet to. For me, Google Maps helped me a lot to find things, and I never felt lost. I always had the opportunity to use the Google Translation when you're not familiar with the Japanese language so much. And of course, you can as well get this kind of like pocket Wi-Fi when you need more uh, internet speed, or more range or something. That's also open up to you. So, coming back to this list, I would say I'm not gonna use the JR Rail Pass. We will avoid this time. The hotel will actually could cost much less, not even 30 when you find capsule hotels. It can cost up to 22 to 25 euros. So just write down 25 as your solo tripper. On the food, I really was thinking like 10, 15 euros for not only for one meal and for the meal later on at the night. So on this point, everyone has to decide for themselves why he's going to Japan. Is he what do you want to spend a lot more money on food? Of course, that's a huge point when you go to Japan. You wanna try out new things. So, but I kept it a little bit low. But everyone is open to decide on their own. So, and of course, entrance and transport, I wrote just down roughly 10 euros. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on the day where you're going. And the last point, cost for shopping. That's also a thing. how much you want to spend for shopping every day or in total. So when you are, let's say, we are planned 10 days, let's say I'm there for 15 days, it will cost me around 2,500 euros. That's quite expensive because of the flight, I would say. You could at least, let's say, you could at least say 400 euros. But currently, in this situation with the inflation and the war that's currently going on, it's not possible. It's got a little bit expensive in a way. But of course, when you love to travel, and especially when you're going to Japan, this is something you have to um, look into. That things are just gonna be slightly expensive. That just the normal thing that everyone facing through. So, for one person, and kind of like a low budget trip, let's say, I didn't calculate it actually the ticket prices for Kyoto and back for transport. So I will just put it up a little bit higher, around let's say 30 euros. So it's not every day. So mm, we can put it a little bit down. I think if you put it like this, even less. I think that's possible. Yeah, that makes sense. So in total, this will cost us for the trip what I'm planning currently 2,500 euros. Alright, let's get back to the video. Alright, thanks for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed that process going through how I learned everything or how I researched my trip. So, what are actually the things that you do when you do kind of like a travel planning, a bigger project or something like that? What I did today. Is there some kind of steps or let's say tools that you use doing this kind of thing, or are you just doing it randomly? I know some people who just go to the trip and when they're in the city or in the new country, they start to plan where they want to go or do it on impulsively, let's say. So it would be really interesting to get to know your viewpoint, and of course, when you like this video, leave something behind, a like or a comment, or if there's something that I could improve, we'd be really happy about that.